A mere 1% of the general population possesses an overwhelming majority of the wealth, and a tenth of that 1% holds nearly all of it. It's shocking to consider that the richest 100 individuals in the world have as much money as the bottom 2.5 billion. While this may seem unfair, it's essential to recognize that this law governs creative production distribution across all domains, acting like a natural law. Take the game of Monopoly, for example. In every game, one player inevitably ends up with all the money. This outcome is actually the unavoidable result of numerous random trades. If 1,000 people played a trading game with $100 each, trading with one another based on a coin toss, eventually, one person would have all the money while everyone else would have nothing. This phenomenon is deeply ingrained in systems of creative production. The issue is that resources funnel towards a tiny minority at the top, while a huge portion of the population remains at zero. It's a complex problem to address, and it's not productive to simply blame the oppressive nature of any given system. No one knows how to consistently redistribute resources from the top minority to the majority without the resources moving back up again. This 1% principle applies across various creative domains, such as music compositions, record sales, and even the size of cities. The concentration of wealth may seem unfair, but it's an inevitable outcome of iterated trading games. We don't know how to effectively redistribute wealth without it quickly moving back to the top. While the individuals in the top 1% may change, the fact remains that a tiny fraction of the population always possesses the majority of the wealth. In any case, the reason I bring this up is because after peasants received their land and began farming, a small minority of them became incredibly successful. These individuals produced the majority of food for Russia and Ukraine. However, in the 1920s, Lenin and his government collectivized the farms, labeling these successful farmers, known as kulaks, as socially unfriendly elements. Intellectuals were sent to towns to enforce this collectivization, and the plan was to pool land and farm it collectively. At that time, Russia was struggling in the aftermath of World War I, with villages full of traumatized men and overall poor living conditions. When these intellectuals arrived in the towns, they incited envy among the less successful villagers, encouraging them to form mobs and seize the property of the successful farmers. Many of these farmers were killed, raped, or sent to Siberia with no means of survival, eventually leading to their deaths. In the following years, 6 million people starved to death in Ukraine. The Soviet regime essentially pioneered the idea of class and ethnicity-based guilt, which is a dangerous path to follow. Currently, we see discussions around race and ethnic guilt in North America, and it's important to remember that assigning guilt based on group membership is never a good idea. If you're accustomed to keeping things vague in your life, you'll likely do the same with your investments. While some investments are quantifiable in monetary terms, everything you do in life is, in a sense, an investment. In one way or another, it's essential to consider that if an individual's character is disrupted by their constant attempts to deceive themselves about reality, they're bound to become a financial disaster. In my clinical practice, I've seen people burn through substantial sums of money in a short time due to self-deceptive blindness. A high IQ and conscientiousness are two traits that often contribute to financial success by middle age, allowing individuals to beat randomness over time. However, it's important to acknowledge that even these traits are subject to chance, as unconscientious people may have had their survival aided at some point in the past. Determining whether someone has won or lost depends on the parameters set around the evaluation. When considering factors like health, relationships, and personal sacrifices, success may not be so clear-cut. The common belief that poverty is caused by a lack of money is fundamentally flawed. Money can be difficult to manage, and in some cases, it can be more harmful than helpful. For instance, addicts receiving money may find themselves making destructive decisions, ultimately putting their lives in danger. Elderly people, too, are often targeted by internet scammers, making it difficult for them to hold onto their funds. Contributing factors to poverty include low IQ, which is not something people can control or necessarily deserve. While it is possible to hinder a high IQ person's development by not educating them to their full potential, raising the IQ of someone with a low IQ is an incredibly challenging task. In an increasingly sophisticated society, it's crucial to recognize that simply providing money is not always the solution to overcoming financial struggles. Hey there! If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, please go ahead and hit that like button to show your support. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay updated.